the UN used to be more relevant in 1950s, 60s. But what happened was the 5 permanent members are not the 5 largest economies of the world. There is just one indication I'm giving you. And those 5 who were the self-selected chaudharis of the system, they actually, see, it was easier for them to dominate a smaller number of countries between whom there was a big gap. A country which had, I think, maybe 3 metro systems or 4 metro systems 10 years ago, today has almost 20. So, if you look at education, every day, please don't take this figure lightly, every day in this country for the last 10 years, 2 new colleges have opened. So, the pace, and most of all, if you look today how digitally we are connected. And in fact, that was the reason I wrote the book, but I will come to that later, because today for all Indians, the world is not something far away. कि आपको passport लेकर plane में चढ़कर कहीं और जाना है to understand what is the world. World has come to us. COVID was one sign of the world coming to us. Sometimes it can be good, sometimes it cannot be good. But the one part is how we have changed. The second is the world sees this change. The world sees today, okay, this is a place where actually we may have had, but we have 140 crore people. But for the world, how many of these people are relevant? How many are skilled? How many are educated? How many are employable? And it is this change which for the world today, if foreign investments are coming into the country in such large numbers, it is because they see the talent of this society. Many countries today see that our power, our weight, our influence. We were the 10th largest economy 10 years ago. We are the 5th largest economy. I think very few years we will be the 3rd largest economy. And no major issue in the world today is actually decided without some consultation or discussion with India. So I would say we have changed. The world's view of us has changed. We should be aware of both of that. To me, it is that we are discovering more and more what we can do, and the more we discover, we will our aspirations, our ambitions will grow, and that is why actually when Pradhan Mantri talks about Amrit Kaal, that this 25 years, this 10 years, think of it as a foundation. On this 10 years, the building of the next 25 years will be built. And that is the building which will actually take us into a developed world.
Sir, the United Nations Security Council hasn't been able to prevent the wars ever since it was set up. I mean, most of the wars. But some of the members have successfully prevented the entry of India or India getting a permanent seat in the UNSC. So with your years of experience, sir, how do you construe the relevance of the UN system, number one? And secondly, what should India do in this regard?
I would say first the relevance of the UN. The UN used to be more relevant in 1950s, 60s. But what happened was, as the number of countries grew, and those 5 who were the self-selected chaudharis of the system, they actually, see, it was easier for them to dominate a smaller number of countries between whom there was a big gap, that their power or their authority was there, the rest of the world was there. What has happened in the last 30-40 years? That is no longer the case. I'm now taking India itself. That today the the 5 permanent members are not the 5 largest economies of the world. That is just one indication I'm giving. Also, what has happened is, with the passage of time, other countries have developed the confidence to challenge, saying, I don't agree with what you are saying. Then they are fighting among themselves also. That, we've seen in Ukraine that they could not, even themselves come to an agreement. So, and even during COVID, everybody said COVID is, the worst thing which has happened. It was, if you look at the number of people who died, the number of deaths in the world would compare with what happened in a world war. But what was the role? Us samay, think back. Did anybody think UN was going to help anybody in COVID? So the fact is, in many ways, the limitations of UN are showing. Now, in normal life, in anything, when some product or some organization, any organization gets older, what do? You bring in newer people, younger people. You bring in new energy. You broaden out. Even if it is company, you will get more stakeholders. Now, what is the normal process of renewal and change, which is applicable everywhere, in every walk of life? That natural process of change today is being denied in the UN. It is being denied in the UN because there are just a few countries. Because when you ask me what are our prospects, 20 years ago people would say, yes, India ko hona chahiye. One day they will get there. With each year, definitely with each 5 years, 10 years, I can see people actually feel, no, India must be there. We actually feel strongly you are not there. Sometimes when I meet other foreign ministers or leaders, before I bring it up, they tell me, बहुत अफसोस की बात कि आप नहीं होते, अगर आप होते तो कुछ और होता. That feeling is very much there, and people also realize our value, because just I give you अभी जो हमारा G20 का अनुभव जो था, G20 after the Ukraine conflict started was in a very difficult situation, because between Russia and Western countries there was a complete disagreement, and many of the developing countries, जो हम global south कहते हैं, they felt that their interests on trade and debt and these were being ignored. Now, people did not think that there will actually be a consensus, a Sarv Sahmati in the G20. There was no expectation that the Delhi meeting in September will produce a united outcome. But we managed it. Now, why I am citing that to you is, if a country has such a capability, such a country in the UN Security Council can actually contribute as well. But I would say, with each passing year, the feeling in the world is India ko hona chahiye. I can feel that support. Like in many cases, you have to continue. You have to persevere. The world does not give things easily and generously. कभी-कभी लेना भी पड़ता है. So we'll have to keep moving on.